Hello, Facebook. How are you doing today? Hope everybody is doing great. I'm just going to make sure that we are live so we don't miss a beat from our queen, Miss Eleanor Beaton. I'm so excited to be interviewing her today. Give me just 2 seconds, making sure that we are good to go, and we are. Wonderful. My name is Kristen Nolan, and I want to welcome you to our Fit for Success podcast. Our Fit for Success podcast is designed for busy entrepreneurs and executives to teach you exactly how to keep your body in shape and energized on a limited time budget. Today, I'm interviewing Eleanor Beaton, who is the CEO and founder of Fierce Feminine Leadership. Eleanor teaches professional women, entrepreneurs, and executives how to add 5 figures to their income and step into the leadership track by teaching them leadership skills of 7-figure businesswoman. If you are a woman with big dreams and tired of holding back or playing small, Eleanor's live events, year-long mastermind experience, quick courses, and private coaching programs are perfect for you. I can attest to that. And in fact, personal plug for Eleanor, I worked with Eleanor on my signature talk, and it got me booked on 3 big stages in just 4 months. The magic of the whole experience was that she got me and my message in minutes, literally, and went to work with me to help develop my signature positioning and message that I feel super proud of. So Eleanor, welcome to our Fit for Success podcast. I'm so thrilled to have one of my personal mentors on our show.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here with you.
Amazing. So let's dive right in. First, Eleanor, can you tell our audience a little bit more about the work that you're currently doing to help executive and entrepreneurial women take their big seats at the tables and build their incomes?
Well, it's really rooted in this overriding belief that I have that bold, empowered women will change the world. And so when you look at the numbers, women are, half the workforce. We make up more than half of the degrees from a lot of post-secondary institutions, whether you're looking at medical schools, law schools, business schools. And we've done a great job inserting ourselves into, the workforce and into middle management. We've done a great job starting businesses in the United States. 1,100 net new businesses are opened every day, each and every day by women. The challenge is that we are having trouble as women extending that influence to the upper echelons of power. So if you look at the biggest companies in the world, just 4% of them are run by women. And when you look at that 1,100 net new businesses that are started every day by women, just 2% of women-owned businesses crack the 7-figure mark. And the irony, of course, is that many of that 2% are actually family-run businesses started by men. So as women, we've made some incredible progress, and there's still so much room for us to go. And so that's what I'm really passionate about, because I want women to not just have a seat at the tables where the big deals and big decisions get made, but I also want us all to have a voice so that we can be agents of positive change that our world badly needs at this point, I would say.
Oh, absolutely. And I've been to a number of different women conferences, and they're all talking about these issues. So I'm so glad that you are really at the forefront of these messages. And, one thing that I love about you is your drive to constantly and consistently put yourself out there on big stages, host huge events, and connect with key influencers to drive that message home. So how do you feel that your self-care efforts and the way that you make time for yourself, make time for your workouts really play a role in keeping your head in the game? Are there any specific and tangible results that you've noticed from exercising or taking care of yourself that are helping you to really spread this message?
That's such a great question. And I feel like this is something that we don't speak about enough. So I have always been an exerciser. I remember being 3 years old, 4 years old, spending hours at the gym with my mom because she was playing in squash tournaments and lifting weights and being fit and healthy. And so, in our household, growing up and being active was just what we did. And we were relatively healthy, in how we ate and all that good stuff. flash forward to me really building and scaling my business, and my old ways of doing things didn't work. So it was no longer just about, getting 3 hardcore workouts in a week and, eating pretty healthy. It became about a much more regimented routine of self-care. And that's where my current challenge today is. So the bigger my impact, the bigger that my business grows, the more people we help, the more incumbent it is upon me to put self-care at the heart of things. And you and I have talked about this. This is not something that is my natural strength. So self-care, really putting myself first, is not my natural strength. It's something that I need to remind myself to do, and I need to create systems and routine and have help. You and I were talking about events. So we do events. I love events. And the beauty of events is you're bringing together a cohort of incredible powerhouse women. The challenge for the host of an event is you are pouring into them. And that live event, that 3 days of you pouring into these people is really the culmination of a few months of hard work. And, one of the things that we've talked about is nutrition and self-care during the events. And I have noticed a huge difference having somebody like you supporting and regulating my meals and intake and all of that kind of thing during a 3-day event when you're there versus when you're not there. The difference is huge. So as far as self-care goes, it is something that becomes so much more important the less time you feel you have to do it. And that's the big balancing act, that powerhouse women need to pay attention to and need to play so that our success doesn't come at the heart of, it doesn't come at the cost or at the price of, our physical being.
Right, your physical and mental well-being. And you and I have talked about this, and I know that there was a time in your business where you got so overwhelmed with growth because, you grew really fast and you are constantly putting yourself out there. And because of that, and this was about 1.5 years ago, you were saying to me that, and I quote, "I feel like a shriveled up, worn out boot," or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I said. I felt like a tired old boot. That's what I felt like. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's obviously not the best way to feel. So how do you feel this?
I'm dramatic in how I communicate about things too.
No, you're not. Being critical. This girl is dramatic, that is for sure. But how do you feel? How do you feel this really affected your productivity and ability to show up as a leader? And how did you recover from that?
So one of the things that I'm always talking about, when I'm working on leadership presence with my clients is there's the rested, and the ragged edge. And, the rested edge is when you show up calm, confident, ready to engage. Ragged edge is when you show up overwhelmed, tired, not well looked after.
Right.
And so, during that time period, I was definitely feeling more ragged edge than rested edge. And what that ultimately meant is, so my clients couldn't feel it, but I was cannibalizing my own reserves, so we all have these reserves that are in us as human beings that we need to enjoy life, just to be happy. And so when you are growing and you don't make extra special focus on filling up those reserves through nutrition, sleep, meditation, spiritual self-care, all those things, you start to cannibalize them basically to continue with this pace of output. And so, and that can lead to all kinds of not good things over the long term: burnout, adrenal fatigue, like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, so it is something that I'm always working with. It's this edge, between pursuing my ambition and pushing myself and making sure that I'm doing it in a way that, for the most part, I'm in a sense of alignment. So are there going to be periods where I'm out of alignment? Absolutely. I just had an event on Tuesday of this week. We brought together 60 fabulous women for an event called Own the Room. It was wonderful.
And
yeah, right. And I worked half a day on Wednesday with my team. And then Thursday and Friday, I worked from home and slept and relaxed because I was not feeling, my energy levels were low. So I had to discipline myself, to listen and chill.
Yeah. Good for you. That makes mama proud.
That's right.
Mama K.
Right.
That's
Thank you,
me.
Kristen.
That's me.
Thank you,
Gir-
Kristen.
Girl, I have to tell you that we've got a good audience here. We have Donna who says hi. We have Terry. Hello, Terry. We've got Carla Silver, Pam
Hey, Carla.
Bartha, and they all say hello. They are all supporting you. They're like, boom, self-care becomes more important. The less time you spend on it, the less time you have with productivity. And they think you're an amazing example of this. So
Thank you,
awesome.
ladies. Right back
Yeah.
at you.
Right back at you, she says. All right, one consistent theme that you talk about is how presence is critical to great leadership and great performance. How do you feel that keeping your body healthy plays a role in establishing your presence as a leader?
It's huge because when you look at presence, it's really comprised of three things. It's your ability to articulate a vision and your distinctness. It's your ability to, so that's a first part. It's also
Mm-hmm.
your ability to engage and influence other people. So first is self, and your distinctness. And then the other part of it is your ability to engage and influence other people. And those two things come together
Mm-hmm.
to form energy. So if you are all about you, if you are, if you show up with this driving, overwhelming energy, you can't lead people because you're shutting them down. If you show up focused solely on other people, and I will say that a lot of women find themselves in this category, solely focused on other people, you are not going to be able to get the credibility that you need because you're not showing up powerfully as having your own vision and your own sense of distinctness.
Right.
And the most important thing is that you show up with this calm, confident energy because that's what we require of our leaders. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
not in that place of being well taken care of, it compromises your energy and you will feel that your impact is diminished.
Yeah,
And
it's like your
people
power
won't
is
tell
taken
you,
away.
totally. And people won't tell you, but they'll feel it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. What's interesting is, and we've talked about this in the past, and I've told you that I had a mentor that I invested very heavily in. And, she went on this very extreme diet, and I saw her brain power just really start to diminish as then she was calling me the wrong name. I was like, who is this person?
What?
Yeah. And my trust in her completely just went downhill. And I don't even think I finished my sessions because I didn't trust her anymore. And I never told her this. I never expressed
Mm-hmm.
this to her. But it's really interesting because I've started to think about this a lot more since you and I have talked about it, and establishing that trust with the world really does start with yourself. Like if your body's not trusting you and you're not putting practices into place to trust yourself, then how can others put you on a pedestal and put you on a platform and really trust that you are going to help and serve them to the best of your ability? I just don't see it happening. So I really do feel that that is such a huge issue that people don't necessarily realize because nobody talks about this stuff and nobody tells you.
Yeah, exactly. It's huge. And all these things that start to erode our trust in people. I mean, I heard somebody recently described leadership as an inside job, and it is. And, we have this masculine model of leadership, which is driving the hustle, the grind. And that is absolutely a part of it. And that part of it is fun. But
Mm-hmm.
particularly as women, I think it's so important for us to pay attention to that other side, which is being open, receiving, taking care, nurturing ourselves first. That is so
Mm-hmm.
important. And what's interesting is that very often when I think about the women that I work with, so they're high performers, often inside competitive, tough industries, finance,
Mm-hmm.
law, science and engineering, those
Right.
kinds of fields. Sometimes, and I put myself in this category, our natural tendency is to be on that driving edge, is to have
Yeah.
that, that it's just this drive.
Mm-hmm.
And when you make sure that you are balancing that with self-care, your energy, you are able to magnetize and command in a different way, in a
Mm-hmm.
stronger, more powerful way than you are when you're on that ragged edge.
Right. So it's more grounding. You're able to
Yeah,
stand in your power more when you feel more powerful.
Yeah. And look, I mean, I wish, like, I call you, I will call Kristen when I'm not feeling, and those calls happen quite regularly. So I'm talking about this, and it's coming from firsthand experience. And this is not something that I have command over yet. This is not something I have mastery over yet. This is something where I am absolutely, the apprentice, when it comes to really, building in this care. But,
Mhm.
I know who to call, right? And so
Mhm.
that's one thing that I'm proud about, with health, is just knowing where my lifelines are.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I love helping you and supporting you in that area. It's pretty great because you really do walk your walk and talk your talk. And I just, it's funny because I think so many women, we want to feel self-sufficient. And I think especially with self-care, we want to feel like we know it all and we know exactly what to do because we're driving our business, we're, taking care of our families, we're doing everything else. So why can't we get this on point? And the truth is that, the brain can only hold 4 to maybe 7 cognitive thoughts at one time. So if you're thinking about growing business, how you're going to help your clients, how you're going to close that sale, what's the next big event, da 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 da. How the heck are you going to think about, oh, and also I need to schedule my meals, and also I need to make sure I know exactly how I'm going to work my body today. And you know what I mean? It becomes overwhelming. So I I applaud you because I think it's hard for women to ask for help in this area and invest in themselves, right?
And you know what? That's gonna be the reason why the status quo doesn't change for 170 years. The World Economic Forum issued a report last year that said that worldwide economic parity will not change for 170 years. 170 years for women to have economic parity in terms of our income. And so listen, there are systematic challenges that contribute to that, but there are also a lot of factors within our control as women. So if you're watching this video right now, you're probably a relatively well-educated, relatively privileged woman. That means the world is your oyster if you decide to take it. And one of the biggest things that I see women doing, which is really holding us back, is thinking really small, thinking that we have to do it and not building teams. I had the opportunity yesterday or the other day, 2 days ago, to interview a woman who is Canada's top female entrepreneur. So I'm going to be interviewing her on International Women's Day in front of 400 people. This is a woman who's built and scaled her company to over 20 million in revenue, incredible powerhouse woman. And I asked her, what was the key to scaling your business? And she said, teams, building teams. When I think about the most successful entrepreneurs I know, entrepreneurs who've, built and scaled their companies and sold their companies for hundreds of millions of dollars, it all comes down to setting the direction, bringing powerhouse people together in a team and working toward it. And so as women, the longer that we stay attached to this idea that we need to do everything ourselves, the longer we're going to enshrine this overall inequity that we see in our world. So
Wow.
rent is over, but we need teams, and that includes teams working on ourselves.
Right. In fact, that's probably one of the best teams that you can hire.
Right? Yeah.
Right? Because then when you're stable, you can hire the right people for other systems to systematize other areas of your business and grow and scale. That's
Yeah.
amazing. What advice do you have for the entrepreneurs or executives in our audience who still feel like, yeah, Eleanor, that's great. You've built a very thriving business, but I'm still growing and I just don't have the time to take care of myself. What advice would you give to them?
Well, if that's the attitude, have fun staying there.
Mic drop.
I know. You know what, guys? I'm sorry. It's Friday afternoon. Let me rephrase.
Oh, wait,
No,
wait.
but yeah, wait. Let's rewind. No, we can't. It's live. It's live.
That's that harsh language.
You know what? I'm serious. I do
Yeah.
think that, I think that, business is about, and success in the professional world, it is a marathon. So you need to be in it for the long term. Everything takes time. And, so we've got that. And the other reality is that momentum is really important. You don't know when that next opportunity is coming. And so you have to, you've got to be in a state of readiness. And so, so you may tell yourself that you don't have enough time. And you're basically setting yourself up for some form of health wake up call. We're not
Yeah.
like 20 years old when we can, just abuse our bodies and really not feel it anymore. Like I have
Yeah.
noticed a big shift in the last couple of years. So this is, I used to be healthy without even thinking about it. Now,
Mm,
because of what my life is, it's something that I need to think about much more. I'm still making that transition. I don't
mm,
feel physically the way that I want to feel yet, but I'm working on it. And it's
mm,
something that, but it is something that I put a lot of intention around. So my
mm,
advice to people who are like, yeah, 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 it's that, listen, success takes time. Things take time to build, and you
yep.
have to have the physical being to underscore that ambition. And
Right.
so, yeah, that's the advice I would. That's a nicer way to say what I really mean.
I like it. Hey, truth bomb.
Right? Yes. Yes.
She is not shy, let me tell you. So, where can our audience learn more about you and the amazing work that you're doing with women?
Oh, thank you so much. So you can head on over to my website, which is eleanorbeaton.com, or you can check out the Fierce Feminine Leadership podcast for ambitious women in business. And you can just check that out on iTunes or Stitcher.
Oh my gosh. The podcast is amazing, and absolutely get over to Eleanor Beaton's website. She has some great free gifts on there. You can take an awesome assessment, kind of see where you're at, and also request a personal consultation with Eleanor's team. So don't miss out on that. And if you are searching to get more energy for your body and you want some help in this process, go ahead and fill out my assessment at fitforsuccessquiz.com. That's fitforsuccessquiz.com. If you want to have some energy like Eleanor Beaton, y'all, get on over to fitforsuccessquiz.com and take that assessment. Eleanor, thank you so much for being on this today. I so appreciate it. I know our audience absolutely adored you. We got some great people on the show. So we got to take off. We've got another interview to do. So thanks you all for listening today, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks, guys.